Testing one, testing two. Let's get this thing going one way or another. Really appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in to this thing. We're going to talk about it, be about it. Let's get this thing going one way or another. I am Law Nation. This is the Midday Sports Report as we begin to talk a little bit about what Jerry Jones have to say about this team collectively. I don't know. I do not know whether or not he's feeling what we're feeling as it relates to the offensive coordinator, as it relates to Dak Prescott development. Hey, this is the thing, and I always will say this. You always have to do a self-inventory of yourself, meaning that you have to look at things where you're doing bad at and see if you can elevate those things. And then also in the same breath, look at things that you're doing well at and see how you can improve that. I call it personally bettering your best. You got to do that. This is what we call life. This is what we call inventory of the soul and mind. That is how you do things in this natural world. Now, with that being said, we really got to see what Jerry Jones meant about what he need to do, what this team need to do to improve, or what they see far as the development of the quarterback and things like this. Is it a cause to pause type of situation? Is it one of those things where you really deep down in your heart and soul saying to yourself, how can I improve just the bottom lines, the bottom bases of everything? Now, for those who don't get the notification, let me know. I've been having a little bit with the notification not going off and firing off to those out there. If you're still part of the notification gang, let me know, and we can get this thing going. Because I'm going to spit the truth regardless, whether or not, you guys are here, there, or everywhere. But let's see. Let's go ahead and listen to this.
Jerry Jones's cup clearly half empty. Here's what he had to say about the team's first shutout loss since 2013, 2003.
We are concerned. We should be concerned. Parity is really here in the NFL. There's a lot of competitive teams that have a chance here. And we've got to realize that any team can beat you. They pay their guys, too, when you play them. And they're paid to beat you. And you go out there and give them an opportunity and line it up for them, it can happen to you.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Stink, is Jerry Jones right to be worried, to be concerned about this team?
Oh, he's definitely right.
But before Chris Carter go, we're listening in to First Thing First. This is the thing. When you're talking about parity, this is where the league want us to be at. Everybody should be on the same page, or speaking from the, I guess, what we want is competition, basically. That's the best way that I can put this. The NFL would love to have competition across the board. We do know that in the early 80s, and one can argue in the late 80s, basically. And then on top of that, if you look at the quote-unquote mid-90s, there was a window of teams just continuously dominating, because this was right before the salary cap was implemented and teams were losing money. So what Jerry Jones crafted up, and some of the other owners, they said, okay, we can do revenue sharing, whereas we can help out those smaller markets and then just elevate everyone else as it relates to a team-wise. So with that being said, as we look at everything across the board, teams are becoming better collectively. Now, the problem is that the Cowboys, since 1995, we still been waiting. We've been waiting to host anybody's Lombardi Trophy, right? But it is what it is at this point. Sometimes when I was talking about earlier about the invitations of inviting everybody to do self-inventory of themselves, you got to also, Jerry Jones, look at the root and see what's going on about this team. Why are we still collectively over the past 20 years been right in the middle? The 8-8s and the 8-8s mantra collectively. I'm not saying that this team is going to be an 8-8 team, or last year's team was an 8-8 team, but collectively for the last 20 years, we've been right in the middle, and you have to do a self-inventory. You're going to have to answer to yourself and say, I'm doing everything to elevate this team to the next level, because there's no salary cap as it relates to the coaching staff. You can go out there and get the best of the best. You got the cachet, you got the money, and then you have the loyal fan base, because we are loyal to a degree that we still have yet to turn our backs on this team. So we have patience. We have strong patience for this team, but we still need to see what the results going to be this year to see whether or not is Jason Garrett, is he's going to be the guy that can bring us forward to making this thing making this thing move. We already know what Scott Linehan is doing right now with this offense. We can see that with our natural eyes. We can see those small factors. But how can we elevate to the next level? Now, granted, we see the quarterback play. It regressed in a sense, and we already know that collectively, and I always like to use the word collectively because it's the parts around the quarterback that the coaching staff has said, okay, we get rid of Dez Bryant. We're going to put in some players that's, I guess what they said all offseason, Dak-friendly players. So we got the Dak-friendly players now because they got rid of Dez Bryant. Jason Witten, he retired or what have you. So they have a young tight end core. We understand those type of issues out there because it's going to take time to develop. And then I can also argue this point right here, the offensive line where we put and sink all our money on is decaying right in front of our faces because this offensive line have not been healthy since 2016. Then we have a developmental guy named Connor Williams. These are not excuses. These are just facts. What I'm saying is, now that we have all of these issues going on, and we know for sure what Scott Linehan brings to the table, how can we reevaluate? How can we evaluate these things? So I'm going to let them talk, and then we're going to jump back onto those topics. Get your questionings together because I would love to hear your opinions. I love this.
They pay their guys too.
Yes, absolutely. They pay the other guys on the field. Yeah, sure. You've got to be concerned. I mean, I think you have to look at several factors here. The way that team has been built was to dominate the line of scrimmage, run the football, open up your play action, just ask Dak not to turn the ball over. That's kind of how they're constructed, if you will. And you look at even the course of the last few weeks. I mean, Tyron Smith has had injuries. Suafilo had the eye poke. He missed time. You lost Travis Frederick for the season. Right. Last week, Zach Martin didn't play. I mean, what you've built your team around. Now, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are the best offensive line in football. They're just not that anymore. Right. But they're still formidable. They're still pretty good when they're together and when they're relatively healthy. And that's how you've built your team. And you know what? That wasn't them last week. And so that is a concern for me going forward because you're built a certain way and you've got to adhere to that identity. But when you have injury issues, it's hard to have that happen for you. So, yeah, should you be concerned? Absolutely. Anytime you can't produce as an offense, and then you couple that with you've given up, just about more sacks than anybody in football?
Second most sacks of anybody in football.
In the 50s, right? 51.
Dak's been sacked 51 times. It's ridiculous.
And part of that, obviously, is the lack of continuity up front. Part of that is, Dak holding on to the ball. Yep. Part of that was early in the season, receivers not beating one-on-one coverage. I mean, there's it stacks. So it's like building blocks. There's reasons that all these things happen. But you know how you're built, how you're constructed, and when that breaks down, you're a meager offense. You're a pretty average offense when you don't adhere to the principles that you've built your team around.
Well, and the other reason.
Before Nick begins to do his point here, shout out to David, man. Thank you for making the donation to help grow the nation. I really appreciate anything and everything that you guys do. With all of the love and adulations and the dedication that you have for the nation is everything. David Alexander says, but if sometimes run thins, and with that being said, but we need to be a part of him, around him. We need to build around him. And where is the root of the issue? We need to have that pinpointed. I agree wholeheartedly what you're saying, David. This is the thing. That was Mark Slav that you heard in the background. That was not my chair talking. We listening to First Thing First, and he's an analyst. He played offensive line, or he played that particular positioning. So he have a validations, and he's have a valid point. Although I always say this, validation is only good for parking, but he have experience and expertise in those particular arenas and the categories as it relates to offensive line play. And he mentioned that. And yes, one can look back at the scales and say, yes, 51 or 54 sacks, that's a lot. That's a ton of sacks. Now, can you put everything on Dak Prescott as far as him holding the ball? You can do to a small degree. But at some point, if the issue is continuously happening, you got to look back at everything. Remember, I was talking about the inventory aspect of it, right? We was talking about, hey, when we look back at this offensive line, what's going on? We see that Tyron Smith, he was holding a guy when a big play is open. And then we see from the right of him, the left guard. They've been rotating that guy like musical chairs. There's no continuity with that particular piece. And if you go back and watch the Colts game, I love Joe Looney. We all can argue the fact that he's a very, very lovable guy. He's very personal. You ask him a question, he's going to try to find the answer for you. So we love that aspect of him, but he's at best a backup center. Regardless of how you look at it, he is a backup center, and he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. Not a great job, but he's doing a good job. And then to the right of him, we had the Connor Williams kid, who's learning and developing, who started off this year as a left guard. To me personally, his skill set streams everything of a tackle, but they misused him, and they misusing him because he's going to have to develop, basically. So is that a good problem to have a guy that's playing decent in that positioning? One can argue and say yes, but this is the thing. When you look at La'el Collins, everybody know that he's a guard. You can go and ask 31 other teams, and you can talk to their scouting department, and they would say, hey, immediately we will move him as guard. And look at it this way, Cowboys Nation. Just look at it this way. I've been streaming, and I've been yelling, and I've been cursing, and I've been fussing. Byron Jones, he's not a safety. He's a cornerback. The defensive back play of Byron Jones is great when he's playing corner. But when he playing out in space, he got some liabilities. He got some questionings. He got some problems with range, directing the ball and tracking the ball out in space, right? We see those things with our natural eyes. Cowboy Nation, we've been yelling at the top of our lungs. The moment they move this guy's cornerback, what happened? What happened? Let me know. This guy's going to a Pro Bowl with 0 interception because his skilled player is just locked down, doing great out there as the cornerback. Now, if we can see that, and none of us in the chat box, I can't count your salary, but I'm just going to just guess. I don't think nobody in the chat box is making $6 and $7 million a year, or whatever the average salary range of any of these coaches out here collectively. Nobody's making $3 to $4 million, but we can see with our eyes and say to ourselves, look, this team, sometimes we can do better as fans evaluating this player skill set. Because I guarantee you, as much as I'm telling everybody that La'el Collins is not a right tackle, the moment he goes to another team, they kick him as left guard or they move him as right guard. He makes the Pro Bowl and everybody be like, man, dog, the Cowboys misevaluated that particular positioning. That's just how it goes, guys. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and we're going to listen to what Nick have to say. I really appreciate everybody that's in the chat box, man. Really appreciate you, David Alexander, for making another donation, as well as Ya Arkoop. I messed up your name. Marcos, right? Yes, we need play to our best offensive strength. Yeah, we do.
Of course there's a reason for concern for the Cowboys is now the evaluations are different. It's no longer can you get into the playoffs. It's, okay, we know who's going to be in the playoffs. How good are you compared to them? So during this winning streak, almost every game you played, it's like, oh, we've got, at the very least, the best defense. Well, in the playoffs, you're not going to have the best defense. The Bears' defense is clearly better. The Vikings' defense has the ability to be better if they play at their best. All right, so in this winning...
the Saints' defense is playing.
The Saints' defense, right, in the last month and a half is playing at least as well. It's like, okay, so when we get to the playoffs, oh, we're definitely going to have the worst passing attack. So not Washington and Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson coming in here. So when you're 3-5 and you're clawing to get into the playoffs, there's one level of evaluation. But now that we know they're going to win the NFC East, the level of evaluation is how do they stack up against the Saints, Bears, Rams, Seahawks, and most likely Vikings. And the reality is, on a neutral field, the Cowboys are a slight underdog against Seattle, a slight underdog against Minnesota, I believe, and a significant underdog against those other 3 teams. And because what those teams don't have that the Cowboys do is the one glaring weakness, which is not just the passing game and giving up the sacks, but as you mentioned earlier, Jenna, this team indefensibly, in my mind, given the fact that they have Ezekiel Elliott, is the second worst red zone offense in football. Like, a lot of that is what we saw last week. Going for it on fourth down, fourth and goal, and getting stuffed. Having a guy on third and 1 from the 4 throwing a pass to your backup fullback and having him just drop the ball. Like, their red zone play calling and their red zone execution. The only team that's been worse than them this year is the Niners, who are on their third quarterback. That's problematic for them.
How do you get better in the red zone?
Shoot, man, that guy was dropping some knowledge right here, and I trust me, every now and then, Nick do bring in some facts, and I like that. This is the thing, red zone offense. We look at some plays from Scott Linehan and things like that, and to me personally, he's a vertical threat of an offense guy. He loves to have his team to run these routes, which is like a button hook or a dig, and they do the mirror lights, and then on top of that, he sends everybody vertically, and they love. He's just shotgun happy. To me personally, I'm on record saying that the Dak Prescotts of the world will be better in a West Coast offense, RPO, spread offense, something like that. But if you do not, and I'll go back to this analogy all the time, just because Steph Curry can shoot the 3, he can just wonderful. You can just drop it up on a dime. But if you utilize Steph Curry as the center and you say, okay, Steph Curry, I'm going to put you down low post and that's going to be your game. Guess what's going to happen with Steph Curry's production? It's going to be diminished. At some point, you got to figure out a way to utilize Steph Curry to his strength. Off the ball, catching the ball, dribbling the ball down the court or what have you. And I just had to bring you guys this football bring it back to basketball and football. It's all about how you utilize the weapons that you got. Now, will Dak Prescott ever become the best quarterback pocket passer in the world? We will never know. But from what I can see as far as tape for this, I guess, going into his third year, there's nothing that can prove that he will be developing in that aspect, especially when the pocket collapse. And then on top of that, you're giving up sacks coming off the left side, and then your actual pillar of the offensive line is holding when you finally do make a play. Those boneheaded plays count and makes up for a lot. Slows down a lot, and I'm not giving Dak Prescott a pass. No, this is not the angle. But what I'm saying is collectively, and I'm always go back to this thing collectively, if you do not play to this guy's strong suit, then it's going to be looking like, oh, Steph Curry in the low post. Can he score? Yes, he can finally find ways to score. But will it be consistently? No, because that's not his strong suit. And we look back at everything, Cowboys Nation, it's just one of those things where we go back and we pinpoint it. Wow. Oh, wow. The offensive coordinator, Jerry Jones, empowering Kellen Moores of the world. Yes, it's low-hanging fruit, but dog it, Law, do you have any proof that it were these issues before Dak Prescott? And I would say yes. Yes, we can go back to the Green Bay Packers game in 2016 when we played in the playoff. Yes, I'm talking about that. We was averaging 6.2 or 3 something per carry for Ezekiel Elliott. But he want to get back into the shotgun. He want to be able to play his style of play. That's not his strong suit. Do what got you there, right? Oh, Law, do you have any more information on that? Let's go back to 2014. Tony Romo, those same routes that's called to this day, Tony Romo gets to the line and he would say, hey, nah. White 80, kill. Let's change this up. Let's change this whole entire play up. Now, I'm not finna do this. I'm going to be the offensive coordinator out here because they are not finna screw me around. But to have that type of knowledge, to have that type of pedigree, it takes time. It takes time. And Dak Prescott, he don't have the longitude nor the latitude to change that. And it's quite funny to me that Cooper been here for like 2 days and he's already saying, hey, I'm not in the right positioning. The coach, the staff, they keep on calling this button hook. And I did a film session. Only 500 people watched my film session the other day, but it's all good. When you go back and watch the film session, you will see the fact that they did the exact same play about 3 or 4 times. Run, button hook, turn around, there's the ball. There's nothing that you can do to create more separation than that. There's nothing. Because it's a 10-yard route. You turn around, you look for the ball. And then after you look across the board, the tight end, he runs 5 yards, and he turns into a button hook. And then the opposite wide receiver on that exact same play, he's mirroring what the actual ex-receiver is doing. And then you have number 21 run out to the flats. That's the body, and that is the staple piece of this particular offense. Vertical, button hook, comeback route, dig routes. Occasionally, you will have a slow-go route with number 19 out there on the edge. That's all you will get. And I look at this thing and I say, okay, all right, what else can I see out there? Then when they motion number 19 into the inside, and I'm looking at the film, I said, okay, here's a drag route that I would love to see Dak Prescott hit number 19 in the hands. And he's rolling out to his what? Left, not his right. Let me know what hand Dak Prescott is, right? And then he didn't set his feet. He threw the ball behind Cooper. I cannot make this stuff up. The ball bounces off his hands, incomplete pass. That's not his strong suit. Rolling to his left is not his play. He's not left-handed. Now, if there was Michael Vick or somebody of that nature who's left-handed, or Steve Young's of the world, yes, that play probably worked out a little bit better as far as percentage-wise. Now, am I giving Dak Prescott a pass for that play? No. When he rolls out, go back and look at my film. Go back and look at Okoye's film. I call him Okoye. Go back and look at Voch Lombardi. And I challenge each and every last one of you guys, when Dak Prescott rolls to his left, and when he do not set his feet properly, it sails on him. That ball sails on him. We can go all the way back. I think it was the Seattle Seahawks game. He had Jarwin wide open. I think he could build his own real estate out there. He was so wide open. He could have put in a whole different zip code. He was so wide open. And Dak Prescott rolls out to his left, looking downfield, pointing. And he throws the ball, and it hits the opposition. Well, it hits the tight end right at his toes. We got to fix those things up, Cowboy Nation. If that was like week 2, week 3 or something like that, still same issues. It could have been the Carolina Panthers game. But thank those who tuning in, man. Really appreciate each and every last one of you all. Toot Robinson, appreciate you for the donation to help grow the nation. He says, Romo used to change Linehan plays all the time. Not some of the time, all the time. Yeah, you're right. Kill. Shout out to you, Virginia Founders and Janiqua. Appreciate you guys. Corey Allen, thank you for the donation to help grow the nation, man. Really appreciate you, man. He says injuries playing calling is to some of the to the extent has been the reason for the offensive line bad play, basically. Yes, you were right. Injuries always plays a major role in this thing, especially when you have a collective coaching staff who's not used to making changes on the fly. Now, in 2016, they had no choice but to make changes. They had to scrap up everything. Actually, there's some articles out there that they was actually reaching out to, Mullen and his previous coaches and things like that to see what they can do to help elevate Dak Prescott game. If I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm a billionaire, I'm going to do this. I would get on the phone right now and I say, hey, Mullen, what they playing you over there? Don't worry. I got a jet. You get on this jet, you come fly out here. We're going to sit down with Dak Prescott tonight. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get some points on this board. If I'm a billionaire, I can do that. I would do that. I don't care what Dan Mullen is doing right now. I would call him up and be like, look, hey, what they paying you down there at the obscure state, whatever you at? All right, no worries. I got a jet for you. It's already filled up with fuel. Come on out. I'm gonna show you what we can do to help out this team in the playoff run or whatever it needs to be. Because right now, Scott Linehan, he's not changing. The zebra can zebras don't change their stripes, right? It's hard for that dog to learn new tricks. It's just what it is. Calvin Williamson, appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for the donation to help grow the nation. We need young, innovative minds, offensive coordinators. Yes, we do. I agree. Not 1,000%, 1,000,000%. I agree. I agree to that. It is what it is. Griffin, what's up, man? Shout out to you, man. Thank you for tuning in. My brother, appreciate you. Yes, man. All day. Let's listen to some more what they got to say.
This late into the season, you're not changing your personnel. Is it schematic?
Right. You definitely have to change something from a scheme standpoint. What I like about the red zone, and scored a lot of touchdowns in the red zone, made a lot of my career third down in the red zone. The reason why is because could predict what coverage you're going to get based on formation. They don't do that in Dallas. So they're two playmakers. Ezekiel Elliott, how can they help him out? How can they help out Amari Cooper? Well, you're defending less territory. So in the passing game, there's the deep passing game, intermediate, and short. The deep passing game is gone. You can very seldom throw to the deep quadrants of the field, especially the middle. So maybe the back pylon you might be able to go to on the left and or the right. But the field is so much smaller, so much more condensed. Teams are less apt to blitz you in the red zone because they don't have to. They're going to play everything in front of you, force you to kick a field goal or force you into a turnover. So you have to understand, how can I dictate to them? Ezekiel Elliott, maybe utilize him in the screen game, all right, on first down. You cannot run Ezekiel Elliott between the tackles on first and or second down in the red zone because that's what they're expecting. Get you an obvious third down situation. They can put a little pressure on you and get you off the field, force a field goal. So for me, that's what I'm going to do. If I do get in the red zone, I'm going to throw the ball to Zeke and Amari Cooper on first down. And because Dak is not real accurate and does not have a great arm, they don't throw outs, deep outs or short outs because it's a dangerous throw. Quarterbacks and coordinators got trepidation in having their quarterback throw. That's why when you see a young quarterback come from college to the pro, what do they make him do? Hey, let me see you throw that deep out. Watch all the big games in the NFL. Watch how many balls they throw to on the sideline late in games. So if they were able to add that, Amari, the reason why Philadelphia was unfortunate, they were inside. They knew they were going to run an in-breaking route. If Dallas had an out-breaking route, that guy would have tore his ACL trying to get out to Amari Cooper because he was already inside. So that's what I would do. Try to get Zeke in the passing game in the red zone, especially in the screen game. Amari Cooper, you got to get him some out-breaking things, and you got to trust Dak to be able to deliver.
I think you have.
Yes, indeed. He spoke some truth out there. Those deep out passes, we have yet to see that at all. And now this could be dictated upon Dak Prescott on, but damn it, I don't give a care. They need to figure out a way to start seeing that at least out there on the field on Sunday. Regardless of the situation, you cannot play that safe. I do not allow that to be an out. I do not allow that. This coaching staff still need to implement different type of plays out there. If we see one more dig route, I challenge everybody that's out here that's going to see this game come this Sunday. When you see Amari Cooper, when he lines up outside, like as in the X position, I can guarantee you there's two routes that he's going to run because I looked at piles and tons of tape. These are only two routes he's going to run. A deep dig comeback, which what we call a button hook, or if not, he's going to do a slow go long release. He's not going to do nothing else. There's no slants to the inside. And then occasionally, if it's a 5-it-out post, he would do that. You know, they will allow that pass to go, but that's dictated upon where the actual opposition is lined up on. If you line up off the ball, 5 or 10 yards off the ball, they do that play, which is pretty much the DB is saying, I'm going to give you the underneath. I'm going to let you take the cookie from me from this time because this is chess, not checkers. That's what we see. Jay Reese, what's good, man? Appreciate you for tuning in to the nation. He said, who, not what or not, He said, who would you bring to fix this offense? Coaches/players with the question mark. I don't have the answer to that. I don't. But somebody in the comment box, please reach out to Reese and lament to him who should the Dallas Cowboys get on the phone with and say, okay, we're going to bring it in. Because to me, familiarity is something. I would bring in Mullins. I would just say, hey, Mullins, Dan, what's up? Holla at your boy. I'm a billionaire, baby, with the B. I got you. What you want? You want to stay? What you want to stay in Plano, Frisco? Where you want to stay at? Or you want to be in South Lake? Oh, I got you. You want a condo downtown? I got you. If you want to stay in Waxahachie, I got you. Wherever you want to stay at, I got you. Jerry Jones should be able to say that. He should have that type of longitude and latitude if he really want to win, if he really want to see some improvement with his offense, if you really want to know the type of, a different kick or spice with this red zone. Call these offensive coaches out here that's in these college leagues. There's no such thing as salary cap as it relates to coaching staff. He got the cachet. We paying him the money. There's going to be over 90,000 people this weekend in Arlington rooting for the Cowboys silver and blue, and they better win. It's a must win for us right now. I don't want to hear this like, oh, as long as we compete type of talk. Right now, we better win. All right, David Alexander, what's up, man? Do they need to open up the playbook as they did in 2016? Shout out to you, David, man, for making the donation to help grow the nation, man. Really appreciate it. This is the thing. Yes, they need to open up that playbook. Look, I do understand that when Tavon Austin got down or went down or was put down with his leg situation growing, it cut out a third of this playbook. It did. They used Tavon Austin so much as a decoy. And if you look back at 2016, they used another guy so much as a decoy. Those guys that can run the end around, speed, get out to the edge, that what we call the reverse sweep and sweeps like that. It opened up the actual defense. It made them play honest. And then on top of that, they didn't have a lot of tape on the Cowboys, which is understandable. But if you go back and you look at some of those games, that reverse sweep, it opened up some things. It got people, it released the bracket coverage because now the DB saying, okay, we can't put a guy high-low. We can't do that. They motion the guy. And then they try to go back against the last game with the Colts. They try to do the end around the reverse sweep with Cooper, which was cool, but we were successful on one of the plays. Then when they called it again, or like a little screen or what have you, it was Flag City. That's just how I go. Janika, what's up? Appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for regulating these things around here. Shane, what's good? Lincoln Riley, yes. But Lincoln Riley and Mullen, yes, those guys would change this entire offense around. I guarantee it. It would change this whole entire offense around. It's just what it is, man. Here's Vern. He says, yes, mandatory win Sunday, no excuses. Yes, I agree. Gaskin, we need to have a new playbook. This is the thing. It's too late to just throw away the playbook now, but we do need a new philosophy. It's too late to just throw the playbook away because they'll be trying to learn. And the last thing you want is these guys to be thinking while they're running. But what you can do, if you can reach out to those who are like expertise and working out with these young quarterbacks or these different new age spread offense, RPO, that's what you can do. You can reach out to the Dan Mullers of the world and just implement and tell Scott Linehan, okay, these set of plays, okay, they're cool or what have you, but let me get you off your high horse. This is what, trust me, I know I had Dak Prescott in 3 or 4 years in college. That's what he would say to him. And he'll say, this play right here will be better for him. I guarantee you he'll get 3 to 4 yards, especially with Ezekiel Elliott out there on the field. It's nasty, man, for us to have Ezekiel Elliott being unutilized like he is. It's just crazy. Number 13, Lucky Whitehead did the jet sweep. Number 13, Lucky Whitehead was very valuable to us, believe it or not. And then they tried to go into the game in the playoff without him. And let me know how that turned out. Thank you for the donation again, David Alexander, man. You the great. I'm going to have to set up these phone lines. I'm going to set up these phone lines so I can listen to what you guys have to say in the future.
Understand, to be a great red zone team, I believe you have to understand how to run the ball against heavy boxes and heavy fronts. And think about in the field of play. Most teams are playing some type of 8-man front. So they're playing either a cover 3 or a cover 1. Yeah. Safety's up in there. You've got 8 guys you have to contend with. Well, you can essentially play 8 and 9-man fronts from a too high look in the red zone because your heels of your safeties are at about 7 yards.
There you go.
Not 12 yards where they are in the field. So
great point.
Your ability to close as a safety, I mean, you're really just playing a couple yards behind the linebackers in that because you're not worried, as Chris said, you're not worried about the deep quadrants of the field because you've got the end line as an extra defender. So that's why it's hard. When you get into the red zone, you have to be able to dictate in the running game, and you have to be able to run against the 8-man fronts, and you have to be able to run against those. But you know what you got to do? You got to have one of those. that can beat one-on-one. You got to have one of those that can. You got to have a dude that can beat one-on-one. That can use his body to body a dude up, to get outside, to a little whip route, whatever it is, or a fade.
Hurts you, and that's where not having a tight end. I know the last couple of weeks they've targeted the tight end.
Listen, guys.
But man, if you have a tight end, those safeties got to get back, and those linebackers, you can throw it right over their head.
Right.
That's what they're fearful.
Especially in the middle of the field, because when you get down to the red zone, you're getting too high safety
and they
looks
can't hit him
the majority of the time. So you got to get right into the middle of that football field, over the top of a linebacker.
And where you
now you're talking about the red zone, the ability when you are in the red zone is so compressed, it's so tight up into that box. Now this is the problem. We do not utilize the tight end enough when we get into the money zone, green zone, red zone. Here's the thing, the whip route, of course, they talked about that. Yes, you can utilize Cole Beasley in those parameters, but this is the thing. When you get into there, it's more so like, okay, when Jason Garrett's offense or Scott Linehan's offense, before we get to the red zone, there's no dictation, there's rarely dictations from us, right? We do what the actual opposition is trying to take away, right? We said, okay, they loaded up the box on this side. No, we're going to pass to the left. And so when they pass to the left and they say, okay, they're trying to stop the left, we're going to pass to the right. We do not say, okay, we're going to run it down your throat regardless of the situation or scenario when we out there on the field. We try to create space by the wiggles and the bootlegs. Of course, we try to do that, but we don't do that. We do the reverse sweeps to do that. And then when they roll Dak Prescott out, it's normally to his left. It's rarely to his right. For some strange reason, and they love to roll him out to his left. Now, I don't know why they try to do that. Maybe they say, okay, we're going to run Ezekiel Elliott to the right, and then that's where the actual defensive guy is going to be at. They're not expecting Dak Prescott to roll out to his left. But as we look at film and as we look at tape, guys, when he rolls out to his left, it's harder for him to throw that ball. It's just what it is. He's not left-handed. So when we get down to the money zone, they still have that same mentality. They line it up with the shotgun formation. They already have 8, 9 men in front. They got the one-on-one on the outside. Yes, Cooper is a dog. He's the beast. Let me know, have we ever yet to see the amount of games that when Cooper is in this game, how many fades that we throw to him when we in the money zone, green zone, red zone? I know that it's not Dak Prescott's strong suit. Or when we down there in the box, how often is the tight end involved? When was the last time we saw a vertical seam route, a tight end just take it right up the field? All he had to do is just run towards the goalpost. He should be demanding at least the linebacker and the safety to travel. Jay Reese, man, with another donation to help grow the nation. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you for your dedication. All right, so he says this right here. If we have to bring in a player/former coach from the top colleges, the most out of a player, to get the most out of the players, I think that's what he's saying. I think we have to either the wrong head coach or the wrong players. Maybe both. I'm leaning towards both. So I guess what he's saying, either we have the wrong players on this particular team or we have the wrong head coach. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, Jay. Appreciate you for making the donation, though. This is the thing. The coaching staff is not going anywhere. Jason Garrett is not going anywhere. And I use this analogy that my guy Tyson, West Coast Cowboys, had to say about this. He said, in his own words, it's a good analogy. Just because you don't like my wife cooking don't mean that I'm going to get a divorce from her. Meaning that you're going to have to understand that that's my wife. I'm not divorcing her because you don't like the way she cook. So that's the mentality. Believe it or not, Ripley, believe it or not, or Laws, believe it or not. Just because we don't like Jason Garrett and we can see his pitfalls and his shortcomings, don't mean that Jerry Jones himself is going to step down from his high horse and say, hey, I was wrong on my son. No, he's not going to do that. He's just not going to do that, guys. So what the best thing that we can do is hope for and dream for, if they can change out some things into the inside, meaning that if we can push the envelope and push the pressure and say, hey, look, Jerry Jones, look, the Vikings fired their offensive coordinator and they put up 40 points the next day. You know what I mean? Basically. And we just need something else. regardless of the situation, it may not be Scott Linehan's fault. But man, damn it, he got some bad luck around here. Maybe we can just get rid of him. That's not the narrative that I'm trying to paint a picture on. But everybody have reasonings, but results are what matter. And if I'm saying this, and the players are saying this, you got Cooper on record saying this, you got Bryce Butler of all people saying that. You even had Dez Bryant on his way out, and he was on the Twitter fingers early in the season calling out the players and what they're calling out the plays, what was going on, and he's saying the same thing. And dog it, we not even in the locker room, and we as fans can see this. Come on, Jerry. It's bad enough that we got Jason Garrett, and we understand that he's going to clap it up, and truthfully and rightfully so. One can argue the fact that Jason Garrett's winning percentage is not that bad, it's not atrocious, or it's not horrible to a degree, but at least let the fans at least get some type of different identity out there as it relates to this offense. Because we looking at other teams now, and we're saying with our own eyes, man, it would be nice just to see something different. Sometimes you got to wake up on the other side of the bed, right? Your back hurt. Let me just try another comforter set. You know, sometimes you just got to change out things, right? All right, so Angry Cowboy fan, shout out to you. He says, Rico, yes, just lob it up as a hope and a prayer sometimes up in the middle of the field. If we see one more shallow pass to the flats, man, with his 4th and 13 and 4th and forever, and you going for it, and you 1 out of 5, and you looking back at everybody saying, oh, man, that defense played good. No, you didn't give a chance for it to even get the officials. The officials might have been saying, hey, if they lob it up into the air, we at least owe them for some type of call. We at least throw a phantom flag. You take the play out of the officials' hands. I mean, sometimes if it's 4th and 50 or 4th and 14, whatever it was, don't pass that little dump ball pass. Put the officials involved. You know, they love to call PI at times. I would do this. Hey, Cooper, hey, it's 4th and forever. The coach called out a dig comeback button hook route. We've been doing this play 3 times, 4 times out of a game. Hell, 2 tears in a bucket. You already know what goes there. And we're just going to drop back, close our eyes, and throw a Hail Mary. Sometimes the official's just waiting to say, okay, I'm going to give them a pass because I threw a wrongful flag. At least we can hope for that. I know some people will give me some hate mail about that, but it is what it is. David the Alexander the Great, man, what's good, man? Appreciate you for making another donation to help grow the nation, man. There's always an MF trying to ice skate uphill. That is funny. Yes, indeed. Somebody trying to ice skate up here. Let's listen to some more of what they have to say.
I'm going to say probably 30 to 40 of your career touchdowns where it was one-on-one.
Yeah, you're not good stats, so probably more than that.
Hold on, well, you don't even know the qualifications I'm going to give. Where one-on-one in the red zone where they threw it up and they trusted you to jump up and grab it.
There is no doubt.
That's not what Amari's great at.
I think there's not a receiver in the history of football scored more touchdowns than me inside the 10-yard line.
Right. No, that is an accurate stat. That is your stats are good. That is correct.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So how many touchdowns you scored? You probably don't even know.
I scored 131. Hold on a second. Wait a second.
Oh, yes, I am kidding.
Because you've been as high on Amari as anybody. But that's not what he's great at. Jump balls, 50-50 balls, right? That is not his specific skill set.
No.
So that is something that works against them, even having added him. Another thing that works against them, bring it back to your point, is the sacks. Last year in the NFL, if you take a sack in the red zone, you scored a touchdown less than 10% of the time. Right. So if you give up a sack at any point, once you get in there, you're playing for 3. Like, because you're especially if you don't have a great quarterback, you're afraid to have him on 3rd and goal from the 13, fire it into the end zone. You know what you're doing. You're throwing it short, hoping a guy can make somebody miss. Cole Beasley ain't making anybody miss. Right. Like, and so that's been killing them.
Where they were great in the red zone is they were running that zone read. Dak was on the edge. They have got to get back to doing that. And you know what? I understand.
Mark Slayer with the layup, man. Forget that with the alley hoop, and I'm going to slam dunk it down. Look, I've been saying this, and I know everybody been saying this in the chat box and when we live watching the game. Look, Scott Linehan, when you down there in the money zone, when you down there in the green zone, do not put Steph Curry in the low post. Just don't do it. Just set him up for the 3. Now, if you got Shaqs of the world, yes, don't set Shaq up for the 3. He's not going to hit it. Exactly what we've been saying. We've been yelling at our TVs like, look, Where the creativity? Why do you do a shotgun play and you don't motion the guy out? I said motion. You don't motion him out. You do not do no RPOs at this point. Last game, look. If anything that Dak Prescott should have done, he should have said, man, screw this, man. I'm down here in the money zone after Jameis Olawale dropped that ball and they call up that I formation. Now they want to do the power run with the Ezekiel Elliott's of the world. I'd have been like, look here, bro. Hey, we're going to go back to the bread and butter thing. We're going to do this RPO thing, right? We're going to have the opposition thinking whether or not it's going to be for you, Ezekiel Elliott, but I'm going to run the rock in. I got 17 touchdowns myself. I'm finna get 18 now. Y'all know what I mean. Or if not, you can flip that thing around and you can say, okay, I'm going to do the RPO and I'm going to give that ball to Ezekiel Elliott, the path of the righteous man. But none of that happened. None of that happened all game. We were sitting there at the edge of our seats saying, come on, coach. Let's go see this RPO. Look, he can't kill it with his arm, but at least he can kill it with his legs, those Mississippi State legs. At least he can do that, right? That's the only thing that we can just have hope for and dream for and long for, but they didn't do that all game. And Mark Slev said, hey, what they was good at in 2016, where they was running the rock with number 4 and 21 with the RPO action. Are we on the same page, Cowboy Nation? Are we on the same page? I know we should be on the same page. I'm not retarded. I'm not crazy around here. I know we should all be on the same page when we talk about this stuff, right? Let's go.
And protect yourself, but Dak has to become a threat in the running game, and they did that a lot 2 years ago. They have curtailed that to some degree. They need to bring that back to bolster their red zone issues.
Great point.
A lot to do, and they've got 2 games to do it before the playoffs start, so hurry up.
Yes, man, that's a wonderful little interview with First Thing First. You guys can go and check them out. They do shows Monday through Friday. I normally and I tend to do some type of review or my reaction of this, and we can talk about it. Yes, we can talk about it. Cowboy Nation, I really appreciate each and every last one of you guys for being part of this thing. As we all know that this game, I'm saying it. I'm not saying that we should just go back and say, okay, this is not an important game. No, this is our last home game. Man, this is our last home game. If they show up flat, I don't care if we got, I don't care if they get on the phone and they call Chaz Green back out there as offensive lineman, and we still show up and we look like we did last week, even with Chaz Green out there, man, I'm going to explode. We cannot play that sloppy, guys. The guys that we have on this team, regardless of the scenario, regardless of the facts, we got to figure out a way to play a little bit hungry. We got to play with a desperate fight and with some aspiration, inspiration, something like that. And we got to get out there, punch them in the mouth. I wish that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can say, hey, this Cowboys team, if we stop Ezekiel Elliott, we can win the game. I wish they do something like that, but we can't rely on that all the time. So somebody in that locker room got to get in the face. That's why I love Michael Irvin. He'll get into the face of his own plot guys and say, okay, hey, this is my spot. I'll stab you in the neck with the scissors. Michael Irvin did some crazy stuff, man. But we got to figure out something to get on the same page. Yes, Victor. Appreciate you, man, on the Law Nation page, man. We got to figure out something. We got to, man. Appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in. I forgot to pull up the stream for the Twitch. Those who out there on the Twitch and the Periscope, I apologize because I was not able to read your comments today, but I will do it the next time around. Don't forget to hit that like button. Share this content. Hey, my name is Law Nation, L-A-W. I'm live on iTunes, Spotify. You just type that into Google, L-A-W Nation. You should see my face or logo somewhere around there. Yes, I'm not on Facebook anymore because Facebook, the Thanos snapped me just like that. They took away my whole Facebook page, but it is all good because I'm going to still continue to talk about this thing that we can talk about, and that's the Dallas Cowboys, right? We can all talk grown man session about that. Who else we have here before I lock load and get ready out of here? Chris Dantzler, what's up, man? Shout out to you, man. Henry, appreciate you. RB, swing pass, anything. Yes. Look, sweeps. I mean, we have yet to see a pitch toss with Ezekiel Elliott. Can Ezekiel Elliott get to the edge with a pitch toss? Yes. Are these offensive lineman guys, or I guess, athletic enough to get out to the edge? Yes. They are. Yes. Stop running the damn 13 personnel in the red zone. This is from Zach. If you're going to do that 13 personnel in the red zone, money zone, make it 23. Put number 45 out there in the backfield with Ezekiel Elliott at the same time. Or if not, put Jamez Alawale in there and Dak Prescott and also do an RPO with Ezekiel Elliott. Put those two running back. Do 23 personnel. Do something like that. Virginia Finest, appreciate you, man. Yes. Hey, this weekend, I really want to see my guy Gallup get a little bit more involved, too. We want to see that. Cowboy Nation, we really do. Yes, Kenneth Harrison. We're out. Salute.